What is going on, everyone? Hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to be taking a look at Sackboy, a big adventure, the latest Sony exclusive to trickle its way over to the PC Master Race. Oh yes, I enjoyed this game on the PS5 when it launched in late 2020 as a launch or near launch title. I think it was a near launch. It came out like shortly after the PS5 came out, I believe. Played this game, caned it to death, got the Platinum Trophy, loved playing it in co-op. It was an absolute blasty blast. So happy to be doing this video for you guys here today. This is available now over on Steam and I believe the Epic Store as well for $60, which is a bit hefty. Honestly, for this old of a game, it should have been $40 maximum. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the conclusion. Today we're really here to just talk about the port quality, which is not exactly perfect, but it's pretty darn good, honestly. Don't really have any major complaints, but we'll get fired into it. We'll cover the graphics options, the performance on PC, the ray tracing. My God, the amount of ray tracing in this game is just fantastic. I really didn't expect it, so let's get fired into it. But first, today's video is brought to you by SuperCDK.com, where you could save money on games for all of your favorite platforms, as well as software like Windows 10 Pro licenses for just $22, and then you can unlock the prestigious Dark Mode for Windows 10, which I honestly could not live without. It is blinding without the dark mode. You guys need it in your life. And now you can also save an additional 25% off at checkout by clicking Buy Now on any software products over there. Just go ahead and add it into your cart and put in my code JP25 at checkout and apply, and that'll bring our price from $22.44 all the way down to $16.83, a savings of over $5. And I'll walk you through how to get your key and install it on Windows 10. Go ahead and click Submit Order and complete your checkout from there. For me, that's going to be with PayPal, and then click on Pay Now. After completing the checkout, it'll bring you to your purchased order page, and it will update in a matter of seconds, or just go ahead and hit F5. Go ahead and do that one time. It came through literally immediately. I got the payment email that it had gone through and the delivery of the product exactly at the same time. Once you're done with that, go ahead and click on View Keys and Codes, and we'll get our code right here that we can go ahead and copy and paste in on Windows 10 by hitting the Start button and type in the word Activate. When you see that activation settings or see if Windows is activated, go ahead and click on that, and it'll bring up this right here, and click on Change Your Product Key or Unlock Windows 10. As I already have Windows 10, I obviously don't need to put in a new key, but just paste it in and then go ahead and click Next, and you are all done and set. For more information on SuperCDK.com as well as the coupon code, be sure to check out the links down in the description below. So as I said at the start, this is available now on Steam for $60. It's a little bit of a steep price tag for a game that is 2 years old. I have definitely seen this on sale. Maybe not on PSN, but for physical copies at on like Amazon and upscale boutiques like Target and Walmart. If you're familiar with such upscale locations that are littered throughout the country, like Target and Walmart. So yeah, I've seen it. I've seen this game for like $30-40, especially around the holidays. And I'm sure rolling into the 2022 holiday season, there will be physical copies on sale for $40 or less for a 2-year-old game. So the fact that this is launching on PC 2 years after the fact, and they're expecting full $60 for this game, not okay. It should be $40 at the absolute maximum, in my personal opinion, especially for the amount of content you're getting. And all of that. You know, it's got online co-op, like I said at the start, it's got online co-op up to 4 players. It's also got local co-op up to 4 players. You can play on the couch if you want to play with your friends. So it's got all of that stuff. It's still a fantastic game. I just feel like $60 is a little bit steep, but it's still a great game. I loved Little Big Planet when those games came out, and this is sort of a continuation of that. It's not the exact same type of game, as those were like 2.5D or 2D, and this is the 3D type of game. It doesn't have level editors like the previous games did, so it's not like as good as the Little Big Planet games, but it's still a very enjoyable experience, especially for co-op, the platforming, the puzzles. It's a fun time. I like this game quite a bit, so I definitely recommend this game. I just kind of recommend waiting for a sale at this point. When it comes to the PC port quality, it is not perfect. Before we get into the graphics options, I'll talk about some of the issues. So the very first mission, the very first cutscenes is not a great first impression. It stuttered. It had lots of really bad hitching. It really just seemed like it could have benefited quite a lot from compiling those shaders for DirectX 12 early on before getting into the game. And it almost seems like it was doing that in the background. Excuse me. Because it really only happened during the opening cutscene and the very first level of the game. After that, everything was smooth sailing. So I'm pretty sure this game was compiling shaders in the background. It just didn't put anything on screen to illustrate that it was doing that, which is, a little disappointing. I really wish it would have just told me, and I would have just waited and enjoyed the game without getting the bad first impression. And I'm glad that I stuck with it, because at the beginning, I was like, well, this is pretty fucking horrendous, and I can't believe they managed to screw up this fucking port for Sackboy. But it ended up being fine at the end of the day, and it runs really, really well when you're actually playing the game and after the shaders have finished, assumingly compiled in the opening cutscenes and all of that. And I'm happy to report that because, like I said, I love this game on the PlayStation 5. It's got a good amount of graphics options, surprisingly. We'll jump into the display options first. As you can see, it's got exclusive full screen mode, something that was completely devoid on the recent Uncharted, Legacy of Thieves Collection PC port, as well as God of War, which came out earlier this year for the PC. Didn't have dedicated full screen in either of those games, but Sackboy seemed to have figured it out. Playing at 4K here, VSync off. They've got subtitle options and some dyslexia font accessibility stuff. All nice things to see. And when switching into the advanced graphics menu, it is a lot more robust than I honestly thought that it was going to be. As you can see, we've got quite a few ray tracing options in here. By default, if you just switch to the very high preset, it is not going to enable everything for you. Things like ambient occlusion, they go to high, but they also have a ray tracing option, which you can see it affected in the background. It's not like as massive as some of the other ones, but you can sort of see it on the floor there when you switch ray tracing on. There's some added ambient occlusion there, which is apparently being rendered in real time. We've also got particle effects, textures, dynamic shadows, and reflections, which defaults to screen space, but you can also switch it to ray tracing or ray tracing ultra, which I was using for my testing. We've also got anti-aliasing, render quality. It does have DLSS, which is evaluating quality, performance, balance, all the typical modes. So FSR2 mods should work for this, but they're not officially supported in the game, unfortunately. I feel like it should have FSR2, but it just has DLSS. But if it has DLSS, in most cases, you can use FSR mods, and it should work in Sackboy Big Adventure. We've also got additional effect lighting, additional effect ray trace shadows, which you can also toggle on. I was running all these options for my testing. I changed the setting earlier on, as you saw, so that's why some things got toggled off. We've also got enhanced object detail, enhanced hair visuals, additional scene lighting, Sackboy fuzz, and the frame rate limit, which you can run completely unlimited. You can lock it to 120, 60, or that's it. No 30 FPS limit, sadly. I imagine that could have been beneficial for Steam Deck owners if you could drop that down to 60. I don't own a Steam Deck, but I like to think of other people that are not myself. So I imagine a 30 FPS cap could be useful for people that maybe want to play this game on a Steam Deck, as this seems like one of the perfect Steam Deck games, honestly. Or at least the type of game I'd like to play on a Steam Deck, something that just lends itself well to a handheld device. So, thankfully, once you get into the main game and out of that first cutscene where it seems to be compiling shaders in the background, which I had mentioned, it seems to compile the shaders in the background. It doesn't tell you that it's doing it, but it's pretty obvious that was the case, because once you get out of that first cutscene, the frame rate and the frame times smooth out immensely. Still a very taxing game. With the amount of ray tracing effects that this game has, it is super taxing with everything cranked all the way up to the max, which I really didn't expect, like I said, but I'm glad that those options are there for people that just want to crank things up to the max. But thankfully, if you turn off the ray tracing, or if you choose to use DLSS, this game is going to run on a wide variety of hardware. The recommended requirements only mention a GTX 1060 or an RX 580 for the GPU. So fairly reasonable requirements for Sackboy, A Big Adventure. The only caveats come into is like, well, do you want to turn on ray tracing? Do you want to crank up the resolution? If you do, DLSS is available. For me, playing it native at 4K on the 4090 was not much of an issue outside of that opening cutscene, which, like I said, I'm pretty sure it was compiling shaders. I just wish they did a better job of like letting us know that, so that I wasn't just sitting here like thinking like, man, this game runs like a pile of shit. What a bad first impression. Once you get through that, it runs great. So I really have no issues recommending Sackboy: A Big Adventure, especially having completed the game on PS5 twice and platinum trophying Sackboy: A Big Adventure. The only thing that would really hold me back from recommending this right now is the price. Like I said, it's $60 or 50 fucking quid if you happen to live in the UK. That's an exact monetary value, by the way, in case you were wondering. 50 fucking quid. It's exact. So that's a lot. Like I said, if you own a PS5, get it on PS5, find it cheaper, find it on discount, find it used even, is certainly a possibility. But for $60 for a 2-year-old game, they're asking a lot here, honestly. So I would wait for a sale, even though the game is still excellent and you can play it in co-op with a buddy. The other thing I would have said is I really wish they did something like It Takes Two did, where it made a game that was co-op specific, but then it said only one person needs to own it. So if I could own Sackboy, but then invite one friend to play with me, I think that would be nice. And he doesn't need to own it, but I do. One of us needs to own it. Maybe not for 4 people. I could understand the argument behind that. Like, you can't just give the game away to 3 extra people. That's kind of understandable. Maybe if they set a limit, one person needs to buy it and they could play it in co-op with up to 1 additional person. But if you want to play 4-player, then 2 people need to own it. Something like that. I don't know. It might be harder to implement than I'm thinking, or maybe I'm overthinking it. I don't know. But I just feel like they could have done something with the pricing here, or made it free to invite people to play co-op with you, as the game is a lot more enjoyable in co-op. I mean, it's still fun on its own. It's still definitely fun. I highly recommend playing with a controller. It does have mouse and keyboard support, but it's a platformer, so it's definitely better played on a controller. And it has full DualSense support for the PS5 controller and all that. So if you own one of those, you're pretty much off to the races and running. So PC port quality, fine. The compiling shaders could have done a better job of just, getting that information out there. That's in fact what it was doing. And I was running on the latest Game Ready driver for the 4090, which was 526.47. That was specifically game ready for Sackboy, as well as the DLSS 3 update for F1 2022. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Hope you guys enjoyed this PC port report for Sackboy: A Big Adventure, and I'll catch you all tomorrow for another video. Ta-ra.